This week's Torah portion is the last in the book of Exodus, and we read in it about the inauguration of the Mishkan, the tabernacle that the Jewish people have been building to create a space in their midst where God will reside. And this is the end of that process. Moses, at the end of this week's Torah portion, inaugurates the tabernacle such that God blesses the work of their hands. All the work, all the donations, everything that went into building this tabernacle is now blessed with the divine presence descending and inhabiting that space. We learn in our Torah that 7 days prior to this day of inauguration, Moses assembled and then disassembled the tabernacle, that he built it, that he inaugurated it, that he brought the sacrifices, and then he took it down in order to rebuild it again. And some say he did it once a day, some say he did it twice a day, and there's even understanding that 3 times every day Moses assembled and then disassembled the Mishkan. So what's very interesting to understand and to see is this pattern of building and then destroying and then rebuilding to create something more perfected until it was perfect. And that was the 8th day. That was the first day of the month of Nisan, where God blesses the work of the Jewish people's hands by descending and residing in that Mishkan that they had built. When we go back to the creation of this world, we see a similar pattern, that God created this world after he created other worlds. There was a world God created and destroyed and created and destroyed until God created this world, which he blessed and said, this is good. Adam and Eve were placed into the Garden of Eden. They had an intimate relationship with God until they ate from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And then they were exiled. They were sent out of that garden in order to try to perfect the world again, to bring it back to that state it was when God said, this is good. So we could have that perfected world, live in that perfected world with an intimate and close and loving relationship with God. When Adam and Eve were exiled from the Garden of Eden, they also brought death into the world. And death also models this cycle of building and destroying in order to rebuild. That we who are a creation of God, that we are a divine soul breathed into a physical earthly body, that this construct of who we are is a creation, that we go through a lifetime of working on the world, trying to perfect the world, bring godliness and goodliness into the world. And then we so to speak, separate body and soul such that there can be a deconstruction. The body goes into the ground to decompose. The soul goes up into the heavenly realms to be perfected, to be purified. And then the two come back together again at the end of times, where they will be rebuilt at the time of the resurrection of the dead, where there will be a perfected world for all eternity. So when we look in the Torah portion this week and we see that Moses inaugurated and put together this tabernacle, we can learn the importance of building and destroying and building and destroying and getting to that place, please God, soon, where we will live with that perfected world, the perfected relationship to have with God that we are promised to have at the end of days.